Awesome. Just a quick word on these sessions. This is part of our English Mastery series. It's a webinar we are holding once a month for the whole year, basically to address pain points and to address things that I know most teachers struggle with, or the concerns that are at the forefront of most teachers' minds. Last month, we had a webinar on communicative English. The month before that was speaking. This month is grammar. I think coming up in the schedule, we've got webinars happening on assessments and on listening skills and on gamification. So quite a broad range of subjects. If you've got a suggestion for a future webinar, please email me and let me know. But they will be all free and they're all going to be running to the end of the year. If you've signed up for this one, you automatically signed up for all of them. So you'll receive my emails about these sessions for the rest of the year. And they'll all be free and they will all be on YouTube. Rec, they are all on our YouTube video. I'll send you the link towards the end and you can get that. But they're all free and they're all on YouTube, as well as other webinars we've run in the past, and our conference sessions from last year are all on YouTube too. So everything we've ever run is on YouTube, basically. Grammar. I have to be really honest and say that grammar probably isn't my biggest strength as a teacher. I know there's teachers out there who are total grammar nerds. They live for grammar rules. They love teaching it. But I would say of all the aspects of teaching English, this is probably the one I enjoy least. And that's partly because the students I love teaching are young students and very beginner students, and they often don't require a focus on grammar, right? You're not teaching grammar rules to pre-A1 kindergartners, I hope. Or on the flip side, my other favorite is to teach adults, where you're working on a lot of communication, building fluency and confidence. That in between is the area that I probably enjoy the least, or I have the least experience with. So grammar is really something I've had to force myself to get better at teaching and to learn a lot about. And I'm lucky at Twinkl to be surrounded by fantastic colleagues who are really amazing when it comes to grammar and make all these fantastic grammar resources. So if you're like me and your natural preference is not for grammar teaching, welcome. We can be brothers in arms, because that is how I feel. But I do think there is a way. I think there are ways of approaching grammar that make it more enjoyable for us as teachers, and also more enjoyable for students, which is a win-win all round, right? That's what we want. We want everyone to be having a good time and for everyone to be enjoying English. That's really important. So, quick question. Let's start off with a nice, easy warm-up question. What did you do on the weekend? Did anyone do anything really fun on the weekend? Answers in the chat box. Send a message. What did you do on the weekend? Elle says they attended a fair. Very cool. I can't remember the last time I went to a fair. Nothing special. 20th wedding anniversary party. That's so cool. Cleaning. That's not as fun. Declutter. Yeah, that's the trend. Karaoke. I also did karaoke last night, Justine. So forgive me if my voice is a little bit croaky. Clean my room. Celebrated Mother's Day. That's very important. We shouldn't miss that. Comedy. I love live comedy. That's really cool. A fun run event. Anyone else? Anything else fascinating? Saturday. Worked on Saturday and then to church. Went hiking. I also did a little bit of a hike on Saturday, Amy. But with a 2-year-old. So as much hiking as can be done with a 2-year-old. They aren't known for their stamina and hiking abilities. I went to play badminton. I love badminton. Awesome. Okay. So the second question I want to ask is, do you enjoy teaching grammar? How many of you love teaching grammar, and who amongst us does not like teaching grammar? Thoughts in the chat messages. What do we think? Who enjoys teaching grammar? Who doesn't enjoy teaching grammar? To some extent. Easy grammar, yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Depends on the student. Yeah, that's fair. As it has a structure. I love teaching the present tenses, except modal verbs and reported speech. Yeah, I think everyone has a grammar point that they really don't enjoy teaching. And I think for me, it is conditionals. I really struggle to wrap my head around conditionals and then explain it to students in a clear and concise way. Not keen, but it has to be done. Yeah. Well, that's something we'll talk about, I guess. Okay. And then the next question is, do your students enjoy learning grammar? You might enjoy teaching it, but do your students enjoy learning it? Not really. Not really, but they want it to feel secure. No, not at all. Interesting. I don't think so. Some of them do. Yeah. Some of them, especially those who are good in their mother tongue. Yeah, that's true. Like some some students who might really enjoy their grammar, learning grammar in their native language, that might extend into English, right? Into other languages. They just love grammar rules and they love that kind of structure. Some do, but most of them don't with bribery. Oh, Justine, what kind of bribery are we using here? Is it candy or is it cold hard cash that we're offering students? For grade two, grammar is a discovery. They feel amazed. That's cool. Not in other languages, they feel bombarded. Interesting. Interesting answers. Points, yeah. I think there's some grammar that maybe when there's less exceptions, or I think when something in grammar unlocks. I think there's something about like a some A1, A2 grammar where it unlocks a lot of conversational ability, gets really exciting. Like if you can suddenly master the past tense or irregular past tense, that or simple past tense, that opens up a massive conversation part of conversation you couldn't do before, right? You can't tell someone about your life story, you can't tell someone what you did on the weekend if we're not using the past tense, right? So there's some grammar that maybe doesn't have as many rules but unlocks a lot of doors, which is fun. Most EFL students still so confused about why. I feel a lot of us are very confused about a lot of the whys of English. A lot of the whys of English are very frustrating and confusing. I'm a student who loves grammar. Interesting. Okay, I feel like we learned a lot about each other. Okay, so there are some questions here that are naturally coming up, right? Should we teach grammar? Why is it important? We're also going to discuss today, how can we make grammar fun? What are some grammar teaching strategies? And grammar teaching suggestions from experts. So like I said, we've got two fantastic ambassadors that are going to give some of their favorite grammar teaching classroom activities. A little bit of the history of grammar teaching. God, my animations for my slides are all over the show today. Grammar was often taught through the audio lingual method back in the 50s and 60s. Is like listening to language, repeating language, listening to your language headset, listening to tapes of a language, and then repeating. And as we move forward into communicative language teaching, so if you came to the last webinar, we've talked about this a lot. When there's a focus on more of communication and speaking and engaging with people, grammar kind of dropped out of favor, right? We were more focused on communication. The approach these days is kind of somewhere in the middle. I think a lot of teachers want to focus on communication and speaking and building that, giving students that practice time speaking English. But we recognize that maybe we'll still need some explicit grammar instruction. A student is not going to reach fluency, or they're not going to be a really confident communicator if they don't understand how to conjugate certain verbs, or how to when to use regular or irregular past tense, right? Past tense verbs. So sometimes, although communication is the goal, I think most of us recognize that grammar instruction is needed. So like I said, there are people that oppose explicit grammar instruction. They think if you have enough comprehensible input, so enough exposure to the language, that your brain can naturally map out that grammar without being need to learn the rules or be told the rules. And they feel that the explicit teaching of grammar, so explaining grammar rules in detail, can prevent language confidence. If you've ever heard Krashen's theory about the affective filter, they feel that in order to be confident and in order to be a good speaker in your second language, in English, you need to reduce your anxiety and reduce that fear, which I think is true to a degree, and they feel like grammar teaching prevents that. Whereas some believe, especially for adults and teens, clear grammar rules are required. Otherwise, you develop broken habits, right? If you are consistently using incorrect grammar, you're going to get in the habit, and that's going to be very ingrained in your patterns and the way that you communicate. So let's have a little discussion. This is our first interactive element. Going to have a little bit of discussion. So I'm going to put you into breakout rooms, and we are going to discuss whether we think that teaching grammar is always required, if it's needed, or if we completely can skip teaching grammar. So I'm gonna do about, how many people have we got? Do about 11 rooms and see how that goes. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms for 8 minutes. Does that sound reasonable? 8 minutes, and we'll have a quick discussion in groups. Do you think that grammar teaching is needed? Is it required? Or should we avoid teaching grammar completely? Okay, I'm going to send you to your breakout rooms. Everyone slowly joining us again. Good, good. Did you all have very interesting discussions? Was anyone's opinion changed through there? Did anyone go in there like a grammar purist and come out thinking, no, I'm not going to teach grammar anymore? Did anyone go in being completely anti-grammar teaching and come out with deciding to teach them more grammar to your students? Okay. So most of us are somewhere in the middle, right? I think, oh, someone's view has changed. That's interesting. I love that. I want to know what happened in that breakout room. So yeah, most of us, how different it is teaching kids. Yeah, sorry, I'm seeing all the chat messages. Someone said, I work with adults, so I didn't know, says how different it is teaching kids. Yeah, I think that's really true. We all agree that teaching English grammar is important. Nice. So like I said, I think most of us land somewhere in the middle. Grammar explanations help us understand and improve accuracy, but the focus should probably be always coming back to communication and meaning, and like a lot of people have said, context. So most of us are somewhere in the middle. Teaching approaches to grammar. So everyone or most people will know about these kind of different lesson plans. I think these are the two kind of lesson structures that are most used in terms of teaching grammar to your students. PPP, so present, practice, produce, and ESA, engage, study, activate. So PPP begins with a presentation and an explanation of your grammar rules. You set out what the grammar is, how it's used, how the grammar kind of is constructed. And then you allow your students to explore through controlled practice. So practice activities with clear answers, clear structure for them to get a sense of it. And then you create space for them to produce language and have freer practice where they can, again, bring in that context and start using grammar within a wider context. And then on the flip side, you have ESA, which is engage, study, activate. You would engage the students first on the topic. So like we did today, I started by asking you what you did on the weekend, and then I started by asking your opinions on the topic, what you all felt of it. We had a kind of light discussion. So you engage your students first, then you study the language or the grammar together, and then you use communicative tasks to activate the language in context. So you might do a role play or a discussion or conversation cards in order to get them to use that language naturally within context. What makes a grammar activity engaging and interesting? In my opinion, there are 4 things you need. Fun. I hate to be a broken record, but this is something we talk about in nearly all of these English mastery webinars, is how important fun is. There's a lot of theory and research that backs it up. And I think we all instinctively know as teachers that often fun and engaging lessons are the ones where the ones that students remember and the ones where they learn the most. So fun is really important. It reduces anxiety, and it makes it enjoyable, and it gives them lots of motivation to practice. And then something that people have already mentioned a lot is context, right? Just teaching the irregular past tense verbs doesn't mean much unless they start using it in a sentence, in a conversation, unless they start hearing it in a piece of listening, if they start reading it in a piece of reading. Context is going to be really important. Without context, they've just learned a rule, but with no kind of ways to use it, or without seeing it being used naturally. Excuse me. Gamify, which is obviously linked to fun. I don't think we can unlink the idea of games and fun. But gamify specifically is giving them lots of intrinsic motivation to want to learn. We did a free session on gamification a while ago, and we've got another one planned in a couple of months. But essentially, to gamify something is to take the mechanisms of a game and apply it to in this case, a learning context, right? So someone talked earlier about rewarding and bribing their students, giving them rewards, giving them motivation, creating levels, creating challenges, making team games, making one-on-one games. The idea is to make it a gamified and fun effort. And then feedback, so giving students feedback and having feedback loops where they're constantly learning and building on what they've learned. Okay, we're going to do another breakout room time. Let's hope this works a little better. This is just an example of, actually, let's not do breakout rooms. Let's just do it here so we're all here. Example of a simple conversation card that you can use for teaching the past tense. So everyone, let me know, what did you eat for dinner last night? What did everyone eat for dinner last night? Noodles, rice and chicken, bean chili, my favorite. Grilled fish, rice and fried fish. Oh, dumplings. Thai food, rice and beans, and chicken and pasta. So this is kind of proving a point I made earlier. Someone said, without learning grammar rules, you can't communicate. A lot of you have communicated to me what you had last night without using the grammar, right? Chicken and cabbage salad, roasted duck. So communication is possible without grammar. But I like this kind of question because everyone, or I hope most people, ate something yesterday. I hope that's quite a universal experience. I hope no one is skipping meals. So everyone should have eaten something. They can all talk about it. Most students at an A1 level know a lot of the vocabulary for food, something we can easily discuss. Everyone's curious about everyone else's habits. Everyone wants a bit of inspiration for food. So it's a nice and easy question. And you can communicate it without the grammar, but it's a nice chance to start practicing and using it. Yeah, I can see some people now using full sentences. I ate pasta and chicken. I ate rice, peas, egg and sausages. That's a long list, Hannah. Okay. So I'm going to add 3 really quick, easy recommended activity types that I think can be applied to most grammar points and hopefully use all, let's go back. Can I go back? All 3 of these goals. So grammar activities that meet the conditions of being fun, providing context, gamifying, and adding feedback. So the first is escape rooms. Escape rooms are really easy to build if you've got a little bit of time, but obviously Twinkl have a lot on our website already. But what you're doing is you can offer control practice and free practice by putting together a bunch of quick puzzles using that grammar. There's instant feedback, or there's feedback at the end of the game, because if they are successful at learning the grammar rule and using it, they can escape from whatever they're trapped in the escape room. It's fun by nature. Escape rooms are fun. If you've ever been to a real escape room, they're fun. And also it's gamified because you're working in teams or you're competing with each other. So escape rooms meet all those conditions of being fun, being gamified, adding context. You can add lots of context within each game. You can add it in a setting that adds context. You can have free activities that add context, and giving feedback in a fun way as well, right? It's much more easy to get feedback from unlocking something in a game than going and marking someone's work or explaining why someone was wrong or right. Storytelling, context is really important. So storytelling helps create space for practice whilst showing students the grammar in practice. So that could storytelling could be reading a story together, simple as reading a story together and finding that grammar structure used within a story. Could be a collaborative storytelling effort where we tell a story with a different grammar point. It could be using prompts to get them to tell their own stories. And it's a good place for free and kind of uncontrolled practice or more open practice. And then finally, choose your own adventure. These are similar to escape rooms. These are really good activities because they take control practice and make it feel much more fun. And they give a lot of ownership back to students, right? By the very nature, they're choosing their own adventure. They're in charge of the story. I think also we can use a lot of digital tools and apps to make our grammar teaching more interesting and more exciting. So that could be as simple as using an AI tool. Obviously, I'm gonna rep and shout out Twinkl's own AI tools. There are other AI for legal purposes. There are other AI tools out there, but you can use things like asking AI to generate speaking prompts around a certain grammar point, um, asking for speaking prompts around the past tense or the present continuous, whatever it is. Or you can use it to come up with game ideas. If you've got 5 minutes, you want to play a quick game to help them practice, then use AI to come up with a quick idea and get your students involved by asking them to vote on the game you're playing. You can use randomizer tools. Randomizer tools are such a quick and easy way to make things a bit more interesting. If you want to ask some students questions to check their understanding, put all of their names in a randomizer wheel to pick a student to do or pick a team to ask. You could add different parts of a sentence into the randomizer, like different verbs or different nouns, and ask them to create sentences with that grammar structure with the random verb or noun that's selected. Is an easy way to take something that's quite boring and instantly making it a bit more enjoyable. And then quizzes. I'm gonna shout out some non-Twinkl websites here. Kahoot, Quizlet, Bamboozle, Wordwall are all really good at generating quizzes and making something really quick on the fly with your chosen kind of the area of grammar you're teaching. Interactive grammar stations is an approach I really like because they're very hands-on. You can choose any area of grammar and create targeted practice around it. You get students physically moving around the room and you can keep them energized. So what I mean by a grammar station is you literally set up different spaces in your classroom for practicing the grammar. If you're an online teacher, you could even do it with breakout rooms. But on different tables or in different sections of your classroom, you set up different activities based around that grammar and have them rotate. You can even have a timer that's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes for each station, and then they have to swap and complete a different one. If you want to gamify it, you can add things like points or teams to compete to see who can complete all of the stations fastest. So for example, you could have a sort it station where students sort different structures. For example, countable and uncountable nouns, right? They sort the nouns into the correct basket or the correct type. A fix it station, so you have a bunch of incorrect sentences and students have to fix them. You can have jumbled sentences, so they have to run to the station and put the sentences in the correct order. Role play, have them complete short dialogues using the chosen grammar. Emphasis on short, I think in the context of a grammar station, it needs to be quick fire. And then matching, we're then matching certain sentences or matching the sentence to the correct grammar, whatever it might be. Like I said, you can make these extra fun by adding a timer, having self-check stools. Maybe they have to complete the task and then they have to reveal the correct answers using a QR code. It's a simple trick, but it adds a level of kind of interactiveness and motivation and student agency that makes it just that little bit more interesting. And again, they could do in teams where they compete with each other. Gamification. I did talk about this. I'm going to talk again really quickly. Like I said, gamification is the application of gameplay, rules, mechanisms to other activities. So in our case, taking the mechanisms of a computer game and applying it to classrooms. It increases motivation, engagement. I think with something like grammar that is intrinsically not that fun, not that motivational, it makes it that bit more interesting. And that can include levels, challenges, rewards, competition. You can see on the Twinkl website, we have a lot of options in terms of gamification. Last year, we released Teens gamification course, which is all like A2 to B1 grammar. And students have to play through different worlds as they learn grammar. So there's like underwater world, um, like a gem world. I can't remember all the different worlds off the top of my head. And we've just released a kids version that again is like A1, A2 grammar. I think I think it's all A1 grammar, and teaches all of these different grammar points through different worlds. And as they move through the worlds, they earn points. They compete with their teammates. They compete as teams. They earn badges, etc. And there's a lot of different worlds, like world of pop, racing world, year 2020, 2080. There's all these different worlds they can play. So if you want an easy solution to making grammar fun, I think these courses are a really good place to start, because they have that inbuilt game element and they're designed to be as fun as possible. Real teacher grammar ideas. So I've got two fantastic
Good morning,
ambassadors joining
good
us today,
afternoon, good evening.
with some of their amazing real life examples of how they take Twinkl resources and use them to teach different areas of grammar in the classroom. The first is going to be from Daniel. I think Daniel's busy teaching some classes right now, so he couldn't join us. But I'm going to play his video so that you can all see his fantastic example. I'll start playing. Can everyone let me know if they can hear it?
Wherever you are, and thank you so much for having me today. My name is Lam Tung Duy, and everyone just
Oh, because
calls
I
me
can't hear.
Daniel. And I am an English teacher, also a teacher trainer from Vietnam. And today I would like to share a simple but very engaging grammar activity that I used with my young learners. It is called the Hexagon Book. What I really like about this activity is that it combines grammar practice, creativity, and speaking or writing in a very natural way for children. Sometimes grammar lessons can feel a little bit repetitive for children, especially when they only complete worksheets or get feeling exercises. So I always try to turn grammar into something more personal, more interactive. For this activity, students receive a hexagon template. In the center, they write a grammar structure or sentence starter. In this example, you can see my student wrote, "am good at." Then, on the surrounding hexagons, students add different ideas or vocabulary or subjects related to themselves. For example, they may write subjects like maths, English, art, or some kinds of hobbies, and skills they are confident in too. And after that, students fold and create their own mini hexagon book. This is the part they really enjoy because they feel like they are making something with their own hands, not just completing a grammar task. Once the books are finished, students use them for speaking practice. They work around the classroom, share their ideas, and make simple conversations such as, "I'm good at math. What are you good at? I'm good at art. What are you good at?" Blah, 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 like this. And what I noticed is that even shy students become more willing to speak because they're talking about themselves. The activity also supports vocabulary recycling, sentence building, and confidence in speaking English. Another reason I enjoy using this activity is that it is very flexible. Teachers can adapt it for many grammar points, such as I can, blah 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 blah. My favorite, blah 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 blah. I like, blah 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 blah. Or even past tense activities. So, although the material is simple, the learning opportunities are actually very rich. And another way I use it activity is by turning it into a classroom teaching aid for mini presentations like this. Instead of using paper only, I sometimes create larger hexagons with colored paper, laminate them, and add small magnets on the back. Then I can place them on the board and reuse them for many different lessons. For example, in this slide, we are learning vocabulary about family members. Yeah. So students can come to the front, point to the hexagons, and introduce the words or make simple sentences such as there are sick people in my family. This is my grandma. This is my grandpa. This is my mom. This is my dad. Blah, 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 blah. What I really enjoy most is that students are not only memorizing vocabulary or the structure, they are also presenting, interacting, and building confidence in front of the class. Even very young learners become excited because the activities feels more like a game or a puzzle than a traditional grammar exercise. And I also find that visual materials like this help students organize their ideas more clearly. The hexagon's shape naturally connects different vocabulary items together. So students can see relationships between words or topics more easily. And from a teacher's perspective, is it low cost, reusable, and very adaptable for different grammar lessons? And thank you so much for listening and spending time with me today. I truly hope these simple ideas can bring a little more creativity, interaction, and joy into your grammar lessons. Sometimes small changes in classroom activities can create very meaningful learning experiences for our students. And if you would like to connect, share teaching ideas, or exchange classroom experiences in the future, I would be very happy to stay in touch with fellow educators from around the world. Thank you again, and I wish you all happy teaching.
I'm glad everyone else enjoyed. I couldn't hear any of the audio, so I was just sitting here. I have seen Daniel's video before, don't worry. But I was sitting in silence, just watching the video, which was quite funny. Um, but Daniel is one of our fantastic Twinkl Vietnam ambassadors. So if you ever go along to a Twinkl Vietnam event, I'm sure you'll run into him. He's often in these webinars, and he's brilliant. He's full of like hands-on practical ideas for making things fun and interesting. I think if you go to the QR code, you can find out. It doesn't work. Okay, Liesl, I'll ask him to send me a link and I'll share it in my follow-up email so you can all follow Daniel on socials and things like that. And then we also have another fantastic ambassador, also from Vietnam. Vic, are you here?
Yeah, hi Sam.
Hello. Do you want to take over the screen?
Absolutely. Yeah, I will share my screen now.
Oh, and we have a little, you have a assistant presenter, I see. Very cute. Hi.
Sit down, please. Hi everyone. I'm JD. My name is JD or Ngọc Bích. Sorry, wait a bit. Yeah. I'm from Twinkl Vietnam ambassador team. Recently, I taught the past simple with irregular verbs, and my students struggled to memorize the long list of irregular verbs. So to help them, I divided the list into smaller groups with which share the same spelling change patterns. You can see on the screen here. And to help them easier to remember, I used the flower petals template from Twinkl to hold the activities for them. Here I can show you here. Can you see? Yes. On the screen, you can see that I have a flower here, and I have two versions. One for my offline class and one for my online class. For my offline class, I divided students into groups, and I gave them the list of infinitive verbs. Each group had to complete their a few flowers, not only one, a few groups, a few flowers here, and each of the flower will represents for different groups of irregular verbs. For example, this is the this group. It will change the vowel, the middle vowel, into O, right? And they have to complete this with 5 petals, 5 or 6, 5, right? And one side, they have to write down the infinitive verbs, and the other side, they will write the irregular form. Yes. And I will give them the timer, and which team finish first and get the most correct answer will win. And at the end, when they finish, they will have peer check, so they can learn from the other team. Yes. And for online version, I use it on the slide. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see now.
All right. I use the petals here and also the color coding. For example, if the same form, the color orange, if you the middle vowel change to O, it will be yellow, or it change to UGST. Here it will be green. And I will call 3 students. Each student will take one color here, and they will color for their own. I will put their timer here, and they have the limited time and try to do their best here, like. And at the end, we checked, and I also ask them read aloud or write down the irregular past form of the verb here. Yes. The same like Daniel has shown you. Dividing long lists into small groups, and the visual materials like the flower petals, hexagon books, and color coding will help my students remember better. Even they didn't cover all the list, but they reduced the workload for them. Yes. And let's explore the second activity together here. You can see this is the worksheet, right? The normal worksheet you use in your class, and I train it to a discovery activity. Yeah. Instead of they do the worksheet, they may move the. Okay, change this. They will move their hot air balloon to the clouds they like. And you can see we have the verb here. For example, like drink. They have to decide drink is suitable for which sentence in this one, in this exercise. Okay. May I ask a teacher to join this one? Or Sam, can you help me? Yeah. Sam, what color do you like?
For question 9.
Mm,
Oh, which color do I like? Oh, I like blue. Blue is my favorite color.
yeah, we have the word bring. So you think bring will fit to which sentence?
Ooh, she last night I, finally I, yesterday I. Could we do my mum bring me?
Yeah,
Number 2.
yeah. It is for number 2. And can you say the whole sentence with the past form of the word bring?
My mum brought me a bowl of soup when I was ill.
Yes, correctly, right? And let's see. Yeah, $6 for you. Yeah. All right. That's an easy activity, but I think it will change the normal activity into more interactive and more engaging for your students. Yes. Okay. So these are 2 activities I bring you here today. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much. I love that. I like that the first one, there was a lot of similarities with Daniel. And I also think it would make a great interactive stations activity. That could be a really good activity at an interactive grammar station. And I like that the second activity is so applicable to online classes, because a lot of us are still teaching online or teaching hybrid classes or with tutor students. So I think that's a really fantastic idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there somewhere where we can find you if people want to follow you and see more of your ideas online? Is there somewhere we can find you? You want to add a link to the chat?
Yes.
Thank
I will
you.
give you their Facebook link.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you,
Thank
Sam.
you. Awesome. And so we're nearly bang on for an hour, which is perfect. So my last question is an open question to you. Does anyone have any other grammar or ideas for grammar activities or games or approaches to teaching grammar that they really love and they want to recommend? Has anyone got a really good idea for teaching the past tense or a really good way of teaching the present perfect that they want to share? I think everyone's struggling to think of something off the top of their heads. I've put everyone on the spot a little bit. Okay, while everyone's thinking, survey amongst classmates, information gap, yeah, they're really fun. We have some good options on the Twinkl site for kind of class surveys you can do based around different grammar structures that encourage students to be asking questions of each other and using the different grammar. So how can Twinkl help? We have a lot of printable worksheets for quick solutions. So if you're in a rush, you have a lesson tomorrow and you have no idea how you're going to get students to practice, how you're going to get that controlled practice in, we have a lot of quick worksheets we can use. All of our resources are organized by age and CEFR, so you're always going to be able to find the appropriate activity for your students' age and their level. It's fine to have something for A1, but if you're teaching adults, you want something that's designed for adults who are A1 level. If you want something for B2, something designed for B2 adults is not going to work well with your elementary age students. So all of our resources are organized by age and CEFR, so you can easily find the appropriate material to make it engaging for your students. We also try to take, wherever possible, a creative and innovative approach to teaching grammar. So the resources on the Twinkl site that teachers love the most are the ones that are really fun, like gamified grammar. Gamified grammar is a really good way to get students involved in a way that kind of incentivizes their learning, but also makes it really, really fun. It gives you lots of opportunities to practice. And then finally, teaching guides. In this session, what we try to do is take a quite broad view of grammar and looking at the different approaches we can use to teach it. If you want more specific ideas like that from Vic and Daniel, we have a lot of teaching guides on site that are for specific grammar points. So we have teaching guides on the past simple, the past perfect, the past continuous, etc., that you can download, and it comes with a bunch of activities, lesson plans, and different ideas for those grammar points. Today, we just didn't have the time to get into going through every grammar point and explaining great ways to teach it. The other thing we have coming out later this year is a CPD course, so a course for teachers that takes you through the basics of teaching English, and it also goes through some of the more beginner grammar points and gives you creative and interesting ways to teach them. So a lot of A1, A2 grammar, it gives you really good teaching ideas for those things. So keep an eye out for that course that's coming later in the year. And of course, if you haven't already tried Twinkl, you can access everything in most countries with a free 30-day trial. I'll pop the link in just a second. But hopefully, I know that grammar teaching is not always the most exciting. It's not always on the top of our list as teachers of the things we love to do. So hopefully it's one of the ways that Twinkl can make your life a bit easier and a bit more enjoyable. So I want to drop some links for you very quickly. Bear with me. So if you want to get a certificate from today's session, you can get that by clicking this link. It's an automatic certificate, so whatever name you put in there will end up on your certificate, so make sure you put your name nicely and add the correct email address. I'm also going to add the 2 free guides we have, all about grammar teaching. One is all about fun grammar teaching, one is all about the basics and has a bit of a catalogue guide for teaching grammar. And then finally, if you want to try Twinkl 3 for 30 days. Oh, which link doesn't work? Oh, the certificate link. Janet, could you grab the certificate link for me and resend it in the chat? That might have been my mistake there.
Sure, I'm checking it out now.
Thank you. While Janet is doing that, if you haven't already checked out the ESL hub on the Twinkl website, if you're ever kind of in a pinch and need something quickly, the Twinkl ESL hub is the easiest way to kind of find the right resources for you. So you can see we've got all 6 of our areas of content up there. We've got our own curriculum, which is just celebrating its 15th level. We have kids, teens, adults, and then we have exam and business resources. If you scroll down on our hub, you will find all of our materials organized by age and level, like I said. So kids, pre-A1, A1, A2, there's a dedicated section for grammar, same with teens, same with adults, and then you can find the different types of resources you might need. So if you go to kids and scroll down to grammar, you'll find this very helpful section that kind of breaks down all the different grammar points so you can find what you need. So if you have a lesson coming up on teaching can and can't for ability, you stop in there, and then you can find all of the resources for teaching can and can't. So there's lots of different things that can be super helpful. You can also see kind of more in-depth breakdowns of what we have for each age group. There is our kids page that breaks down all of our kids content. Same for teens, same for adults, etc. Janet has added the certificate link once more. So follow that link, add your name and email address, and it should send you an automated certificate with your name on it. Let's just check it's working. Yep, there it is. So that is us. 9:03, 3 minutes past the hour. So that's pretty bang on. I'm happy with that. That's all I have to share today. So if you're busy, you want to go have your dinner, your lunch, whatever it is, feel free to leave. But if you have questions, I'll stick around for 10 minutes and answer any questions you might have. I saw one hand up and then it's disappeared. Thank you everyone for joining today. I appreciate you.